Hey everybody, this is Drew Collins and we're getting ready to upload episode 1 of my new interview series. Episode 1 is going to have a friend of mine, Cookie Simpson. Just got finished talking to him and I'm proud to let you guys listen in to what we talked about. Enjoy! Hey everybody, it's Drew here. This is episode 1 of my new show where I'm going to be interviewing local people around the Murray area in the music scene. Couldn't think of anybody better to start with than Cookie. Cookie, how you doing?
Doing great.
Excellent. We're going to be real informal.
Yeah.
So we'll just start with what's new, what's currently happening. I know we've all been going through the pandemic, but you've actually been able to get back out there and play some shows.
Yes, I have.
So your band Barely Blue.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about Barely Blue a little bit.
Oh, we got Mason Henry that's on bass, and Ben Stone on drums, two of the best musicians I've hooked up in quite some time.
Yeah, those guys are great.
They're wonderful. If it wasn't for them, God knows what the band would sound like. But
well, what
they
do
hold
you
it
guys
together.
sound like? For those who haven't heard Barely Blue.
It's more of a, I would say, 60s psychedelic, Hendrix. It might be like a Robin Trower style of 70s rock music, Zeppelin, that kind of thing, you know.
That's good.
Stevie Ray Vaughan, of course, you know.
That's good.
It's the blues.
That's the thing with music now is the instrument you play, the guitar, doesn't get a lot of love anymore.
Well, you play guitar too. So
I know,
when you
and I
talk
know how
about
it feels when you're sitting there and some people who are 20, 25 years younger are going, what is that thing?
Well,
It's a guitar.
I don't know. Maybe I consider some more like a dinosaur or something. Maybe we're just old people. That's what it is.
Or as I like to think of it, I'm going to show all the new boys how it's done.
Yeah, well, we would definitely do that. I'm never going to quit. Never. I guess I'll play the instrument till the day I die, kind of like B.B. King, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's
So-
how I feel. Doesn't matter if I have an audience or not. As
No.
long as I got fingers that work,
Yeah,
I'm going to go to
of
town.
course, definitely.
So how long you guys, Barely Blue, been officially an act to go check out?
Well, I would say with Ben Stone, we've been together, I don't know, 6.5 years, that kind of thing.
Nice.
But yeah, it's always been me and Mason. And then before then we had Michael Castleberry that was playing with us. And then now we got Ben Stone. And then every now and then we're throwing like an extra little thing with the keyboards and so forth.
Right, I heard that.
You know,
That
Ian
was
Moore
good. He was so good.
and Brady Powell, you know.
He knows all the chords.
Yeah. So we call it like Barely Blue and Crew, you know, that kind of thing.
So, from your perspective, what's it like to play with people who are younger? For you, you grew up with this stuff. Zeppelin was new music,
I don't know how.
or at least
It's
recent music.
it's refreshing,
Yeah?
you know. And like the younger guys that I've played with, it's like they have so many ideas that they want to throw out, and they're not ashamed to go out there, you know. They're not ashamed to go somewhere where an older musician would be like reluctant to go to, you know, and just give me like freedom of expression. Like a lot of younger musicians are like that. Where some of the older cats are like, you know, they just want to play the standards all the time and not get beyond a certain realm. Or
So how do you react to that in the moment when you're playing and you hear maybe the drum groove suddenly swaps or the bass line staying true to the Zeppelin or, you know, the Hendrix you're playing, that you've grown up, you know these songs, and then they take it somewhere else that you hadn't thought of? How fast on your feet can you be?
I feel that it's spiritual thing with me.
Yeah?
You know, it's like Ben is always doing things, changing things up. It keeps things refreshing, that kind of thing. For me, it is, because I don't want to be the musician that comes out playing the same set every time I come out to play live music. I want to keep it real, you know. For me, it's like, yeah, I don't want to sound like I did last show. I don't want to sound like sound like 3 shows ago.
Right.
I don't want to be constantly doing the same thing because I get bored easily. So
I know what you're talking about. There'll be any number
but a lot of
shows.
musicians don't like that though. They want to keep it
I
in a
have
certain realm, you know,
have
right here in this little circle. You know, don't step out, you know, too far.
My problem is I will get like 70% of the way through the show and then I'll think, didn't I just play that an hour ago? Didn't I already play that same sort of emotive phrasing?
Yeah.
Because, you know, I try to play sometimes true to a song if we're doing a cover, but sometimes you can just take it somewhere else.
Yeah, you can.
And that's when you really rely on what you got, not what the record had, but what do you have? And sometimes I just run out. Like, I think I've played everything I know.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just in a different key.
Yes.
How do you find yourself not doing that, or if you are in that position, how do you break yourself out of that to go somewhere else?
Sometimes you just maybe do a little twist on the song or something like that, a stop or whatever, stop phrase, catchphrases and stuff like that. You know, where it doesn't sound like you're playing the same constantly over and over. You know, don't get me wrong, I don't play music. You know, I mean, like traditional style playing music, but reading music.
Right.
You know, I don't read music. I play by feel mostly. So you're not going to get the same. You know, the same thing constantly over and over and over with me. I know there's certain things that I'm advancing as a musician. I'm constantly watching other musicians, guitar players playing. So the more and more I can learn from other musicians, the better I grow as a guitar player, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I know I can hear you play, or I'll hear somebody else play who maybe has a completely different approach to the instrument than I grew up with.
Right.
And I'll turn my head like a curious dog and be like, "Okay, what you doing? All right, let's listen to that." So you didn't have guitar lessons?
I did when I was like maybe 14, 15 years old, but then he wasn't really teaching me what I wanted to dabble in.
Right.
So I started watching and ordering lessons. Well, that's before the internet. I started ordering guitar lessons and getting magazines off the shelf about teaching yourself certain chord progressions and soloing and so forth and so on. And then I learned basically by myself and taught myself how to play guitar. But if I can remember his name was Mark Rogowski in Dundee, Illinois. He was my first guitar teacher. He was great.
And that's where you were originally
Mark Rogowski. I forget where, somewhere up in Elgin, Illinois.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I can't remember the name of the store. It's been back since the 80s. So, I don't know. But I did have a guitar teacher, but I just got bored with it. And then sometime around, I guess maybe, I don't know, age of 18, 19, all of a sudden it just started making sense to me.
Yeah.
Then I got my first band together with a couple of guys, and I went to high school with Jim Lopez and Brett Rogers was on drums. Jim was on bass, and I was on guitar. We called ourselves Magnetic. This was like back in 1985. I still got some old recordings of that on tape, to be honest with you. I could transfer over and put online.
Yeah.
But I was 19 at the time, and we were just kids.
Have you always been into the idea of the trio? Power trio?
I've groups like the Cream, the Three Piece, like Rush and all that. I know people keep thinking, well, you could do a little bit more if you had this person here and that person on keyboards.
Maybe a horn section.
Yeah, horn section, But for me, I've always admired the three-piece band. But now every now and then you can change it up. Like I said, every now I'll add a drums or not a drum, but keyboards, or you might add something else in, to spice it up a little bit.
I used to joke I like to play lead electric triangle.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. But yeah, I think, my opinion anyway, the humble one. If you're going to be a trio, that means all three instruments. Oh, you really got to know how to fill that space in.
I think Billy Blue does that.
I think you do too.
I think now we've been playing together so long, we don't even make a set list anymore. We just come out on stage.
Just throw it out?
Yeah, just throw it out.
I've seen some bands that do that.
Yeah, Mason's always asking me before the show, say, hey, what are we going to play? And I always tell Mason, I say music. That's what we're going to play, so don't worry about it.
I saw a band once where they had a fake pitcher of beer, painted like it was a pitcher of beer,
right.
But actually inside it was a microphone.
Yeah.
And he'd pick it up, pretend to be drinking out of it, and he's talking into it, going, what do you guys want to play next? And they all got their earpieces in. So that's how they would communicate without making it look like to the audience, all right, this band's wasting our time by talking. They don't have anything figured out yet. So, obviously Hendrix, big influence on your playing. Who else?
Definitely Stevie Ray Vaughan, Buddy Guy. Definitely the blues. A lot of the blues players. Robin Trower, of course. Yes. A lot of a lot of the blues players. When I grew up listening, I didn't. When I was a kid, I didn't grow up listening to psychedelic style of music. I grew up listening to a lot of the Motown my mom and dad raised me up on. A lot of the big band era, 1940s. That's back in the days when they had turntables. You remember that?
Oh yeah, the 78 speed.
Yeah.
Don't drop it; it'll shatter.
Yeah, Thelonious Monk and Count Basie, that kind of thing. But that's the era that I grew up with, listening to a lot of the blues scene and progressive, like jazz and whatever. Nina Simone.
Mm-hmm. Jazz is hard to wrap your head around sometimes, because me growing up, I didn't know anything about jazz. They just threw a bass in my hands and said, just where it says F, play F. Where it says B flat, and I didn't know what any of the symbols meant.
Right.
I just realized, thank goodness my instrument isn't the featured instrument of this ensemble. Just keep it going. And nobody ever called me out for being fake, but I was totally faking it.
No, I
because they put music in front of me.
Yeah, when I was like I said, was a kid. Yeah, it was always the Motown sound. And my brother, he was the one that actually got me into music. He was a drummer, so I always wanted, maybe there's an instrument that I can play. I knew I couldn't play drums. There's no way I could play drums. So I don't know. I wanted to play bass. I started play bass guitar at first. I wanted my mom to buy me a bass because that's when Rick James came up with Street Songs that year, and I was really into Rick James at the time. And I really, and that's when MTV was really starting to become popular. Remember when they used to play music videos?
Oh yeah.
So
they actually have an MTV channel now that only plays videos, and I'm watching it going.
That's great. Yeah. But yeah, I was wanting to play bass guitar. I want to do something musically. And then there used to be, I knew who Hendrix was at the time, but I've heard his songs, but I've never really actually seen him perform. So there's a thing on MTV called Closet Classics, and
I remember that show.
Yeah, it was on MTV, and I saw Hendrix doing Hey Joe or Purple Haze or something. It was black and white BBC footage. And I'm thinking to myself that African American playing, rock music, blues rock music, and it sounds really good. It's not like anything that I would have typically heard from that 60s, because I don't consider Hendrix's music 60s like it is psychedelic, but it's not just to that one era of, I've always thought it reached beyond the 1960s, and it still does. I kept thinking, now that dude's cool. Seems like the guitar is part of himself. And that's when I said, Mom, I want to buy me a guitar. I want to be like this guy here. And then it didn't come to me as easy as I thought it was gonna.
Oh, yeah?
It took me maybe another, 4 years to actually become comfortable with playing the guitar.
I think that's a decent amount of time, though, because I've heard some people who've only been playing 9 months and get a gig, and the balls they have to do that is more than I had. But I can also sit there and listen and go, okay. It's nice to hear people progress as they do get better, but I was definitely in the same boat. I did not want to play in front of people until I could play at least a song without stopping, thinking, where do I go next?
Right.
It had to be muscle memory.
Yeah, it's I did, like I said, playing guitar didn't come easy to me, and then I guess one day it just snapped, came together. So, but then after that, then I formed my own band. Like I said, Magnetic was the name of my first band when I was in high school, and then shortly after that, then I moved down here to Kentucky, and then I was at a store one day when I moved down to Mayfield, Kentucky. I went to the store in Paducah. It was called Strings and Things. I think it was called.
I
that was
remember
years
that.
ago.
Yeah.
And these two dudes walked in, A guy by the name of Pete Mitchell and another guy by the name of Dale Pruitt walked up. They were looking for a guitar player, and I guess they said that the other day the store owner said that there was this black guy that was in here. He's playing like blues and, you know, like The Wind Cries Mary. I remember playing that. And he says, hey, this guy left his phone number. He said he's looking for a guy, for a band to play in, and you guys should give him a call. And the two dudes, it wasn't anything that I've ever played before. It wasn't blues, it wasn't rock, it was a punk rock band. And so we called ourselves Curtis Strange, which I've got that on Facebook. And we've got some old, like, I keep thinking, I said, man, it's been over 20 almost 30 years ago we cut that CD. But yeah, I used to play in a punk rock band years ago, 30 years ago to be, 28 to be exact years ago.
Did you find that exhilarating, or were you kind of
no, the only
inside going, this ain't my thing?
This ain't my thing, but the reason why I joined up with the band is that I just wanted to stay fresh as a musician. I just wanted to stay up on my chops, you know.
So playing punk rock.
Yeah, just to be doing it.
In the time before your Green Days had come out and sort of brought it to the mainstream public, it was still from the 70s, underground.
Right.
What did that do to you as a musician? Did that expand your knowledge because there's a different train of thought there playing punk?
No.
Minimalistic type of playing?
I don't know, maybe, I don't know. In a way, yeah. I saw a different side of music, people that were into that kind of style of punk rock, you know. Not to say that I didn't like it. It was different. It's different from what I normally would listen to. Blues music, normally growing up as blues and jazz. It was different, but I liked it because the guys I played with were cool. They were cool, and I met a lot of interesting people in Lexington because Lexington, Kentucky, that is, had a real cool underground scene back in the early '90s with the punk rock scene, and that was really interesting. Meeting a lot of the people that the spiked hair and spiked blue hair and the nose rings, and, you know, that was cool. The dog collars and whatever, you know.
Because that at the time was rebellion.
Yeah, it was.
Now having a bone through your face and then blue hair is not rebellion anymore.
No,
it's just
not.
normal.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
your cashier.
But 91, 92, it was kind of looked different upon.
Yeah, I remember that.
So
okay. Throughout all that, you're learning, you know, the influences of Motown, and then you get to the punk scene, and then all the way up to today, playing with Barely Blue, doing the stuff you're doing. Is there any handful of moments playing that stand out to you that you didn't see coming, it just happened, and you're just, wow, that overtook me. That was a wonderful moment.
I think...
or is it all a blur?
Oh, most of it is. Oh, no. Well, not with necessarily playing with Barely Blue. It was a band called Fret Chatter that I had with Joe Lee and Chris Fritz. We had a benefit show for a Sammy Crutcher. Do you remember? I think he played with a band called Nightfish.
Yeah, I remember.
I remember us playing that first show, Sam's Fest. I didn't know it was going to be that big of a turnout.
That was like an outdoor festival.
Yeah, it was an outdoor festival. It was nice, and it was like, wow, this is legit. You know, I'm looking around like, wow, this is pretty cool here, you know. And I think, yeah, it was a kind of a wow moment for me because people were out there having a good time, dancing and enjoying themselves and remembering Sammy, you know. So it was cool. It was overwhelming, you know. I mean, do I have any other wild moments or whatever? Yeah.
You don't have to share them all.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a couple I would want to talk about.
Right.
Yeah, but
I want to protect the
yeah,
or
we'll
the
definitely
guilty.
protect. Yeah, definitely.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let me ask you a series of one or the other. I'm going to give you two things. Don't think too hard. Just blurt it out. Because we got guitars behind us here. Strat or Les Paul?
Strat.
Strat. That's what I thought you were going to say. People watching this don't know, but you and I have had a few conversations about the musical integrity and genius of Genesis, so I'm going to throw this at you. Hendrix or Genesis?
I would say Hendrix because Genesis was. There's a picture I saw somewhere online of Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins jamming in some studio. I'm looking at the background, it's a black and white picture, and it's this poster of Hendrix behind Phil Collins. And I'm thinking, what's Genesis doing listening to Hendrix? And we think that was something that was way out in left field, but I guess Hendrix was way out in left field too, so I guess it kind of worked out too. I
guess the best answer to that would be, why not?
Yeah, why not listen to Hendrix? Right. Yeah, I'll have to show you that picture I saw online.
Right. You get more satisfaction out of playing live in front of people or sitting in this room practicing and getting better at your own pace?
Oh, dude, live.
Live.
Without a doubt. I feel there's something more, I don't know, you could do all the drugs you want to and you could never get a greater high than playing live.
Amen.
It just ain't gonna happen. And each audience is going to be different. It's going to be a challenge. I've come out on shows and thinking like, man, these guys are going to be hard to win over. You know, they seem like, oh man, I'm never going to be able to win these guys over. And the next thing you know, by the end of the show, they're all up on the dance floor, digging it.
I've had situations like that too.
It's like they're just not into it. You know, I'm not into it. Yeah. They're not into it at first. I don't know what I can do to make these people. You know, but somehow I always seem to make it through it, and that's the beauty of playing music because, and I love not playing in front of my friends because people are brutally honest.
Yes. Yep.
The ones that are not your friends are the ones who are going to be brutally honest. You suck.
Well, I found that if I had some friends in the audience, maybe I'm playing Brown Eyed Girl for the 100th time and I'm just rolling my eyes going, I don't understand why people like to hear this song. Well, because they don't get to hear it all the time,
right,
but I'm
right,
stuck in a rut playing it all the time. So I start noodling in the middle of the song to try to make my friends laugh. And what I learned from that was I'm ruining this song for the people who don't know me, and that's going to be their impression. And I've learned the hard way, don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah. Don't try to make your one friend laugh who tomorrow is going to forget it anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
When you could probably get 100 people if you just play the song they know in a way that you can feel good about.
I remember.
I still don't like Brown Eyed Girl, but that's just me.
I remember playing a show at JP's in Paducah. I've always, that's why I say I love playing live. I love intermingling with the audience. And there was a woman, of course, I'm thinking, I was in a really good mood, and then I was thinking, here's this woman right now sitting in the front row on her cell phone with her head down.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking, well, that's rude. I'm up here playing, and she's on her freaking cell phone. So I said, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to walk off stage. I'm going to walk down and see who this woman's texting on her cell phone. She didn't even know she was so involved in her conversation on her cell phone. She didn't even see me coming down. And you can hear all these people laughing at JP because this woman doesn't have a clue that I'm standing up there just jamming right in front of her. And I bent down in front of her and startled the heck out of her when she finally realized that the guitar player was standing there reading her text.
Oh, that's awesome.
And she was like, oh my God, you caught me, you know, that kind of thing. It's like, yeah, I did, you know. But everybody, you know, started laughing and she's wondering like, what's going on? Ah! Black guy with the guitar standing next to me.
I've had some moments where, I mean, not everything I play has been, you know, clubs or bars or, you know, I've done some family events and, yeah, I had a moment where a 3-year-old kid just ran up on stage and just stood right in front of me as I was playing. For that moment, I couldn't see anybody else there. I just saw the 3-year-old kid, and I had just that much time to impress that kid before that kid's mom or dad come running up and I'm so sorry and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, that's awesome. Somebody got a picture of it, and I'm sort of bowing, looking at this kid, and he's just on his knees looking up at me. And
you're like the biggest thing ever, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, oh yeah, this guy is great. This is what I want to be when I grow up, you know?
All right. I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, what's that?
Trio or pretty lead singer?
Trio.
Trio. And I swear to God,
You know what's, I mean, you'll find it. You'll get a different answer every time you ask a musician. I'm not trying to play pretty music. I'm trying to keep it real.
well, no, I was gonna,
don't get me wrong. I mean,
that was my way of saying, as a trio, you're the one singing also.
Well, yeah,
playing.
yeah.
I have a hard time singing and playing at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I want to dedicate 100% of my focus
to your playing.
to playing, which means I'm forgetting lyrics. Or
I'm forgetting lyrics constantly. I forget my own lyrics and my own songs. For crying out loud. But every band that I've ever played with, except for Curtis Strange, nobody wanted to sing. So I took it upon myself. I was like, I just don't want to play in an instrumental band. I don't want to do that. I'm gonna have to learn how to sing and play. Sing at the same time and play guitar, and do that, and being able to keep timing and keep my foot in time and sing in the right key. And it's not easy. Everybody downs. Well, not everybody. Some people don't give the Beatles enough credit. When I look at like McCartney and I look at Lennon, I'm thinking, damn, not only were they good musicians, but they could sing together, they could harmonize.
Yeah.
I've never played in a band that could actually harmonize. I would probably freak out if I played in a band like that,
I'm the guy who, when I sing along, I'm going to sing the harmony parts. It's easy to sing the melody. That's what most people know. Even growing up in church, nobody sang harmony. They always would just sing the unison line of whatever the hymn was.
Right.
And when I started studying music and reading how to read, harmony lines, then I showed up to church one Sunday and I'd start singing the harmony, and everybody's head would turn and look at me like, why is he singing the wrong parts?
Right.
He's singing off key. And I'm like, but I bet you like the Eagles, though, don't you? Heaven forbid I do it to Bach.
Yeah. I mean, what the heck?
All right, I scripted this, but I had no idea.
Okay.
Coke or Pepsi? And he has a can of Coke in his hand. Answers that one. All right. What haven't I asked you that you're sitting there thinking, you should ask me that?
Well, I don't know. How do all the musicians in Murray, this small little town, all meet up? You know what I'm saying? The Murray scene really is kind of wild. How we all got together. I don't want to give her too much credit, but she'd probably start crying. Stephanie Woods, if it wasn't for her with the open mic nights that we used to do, wish we'd still do it. But she's playing with the Black Eyed Susans now.
Speaking of great harmonies.
Great. Yeah, that's
harmonies.
great. Yeah. But if it wasn't for her, there wouldn't be no Barely Blue. We used to do the open mic nights, and I missed those at the Mr. J's, JP. Not JP's, but Mr. J's. And
right.
The Lucky's is what it was called after that. And then we had, what was it, Vitello's one time? 15th
Oh, geez, that place has been so many things. Sporties back in the 90s, and then Vitello's at some point.
Yeah.
15th and Olive. And my band, Mur Vegas, our first gig was in that room New Year's Eve of 2001.
Oh, jeez.
So, I've been around long enough, so of you to see that restaurant, I'm glad it's succeeding now for so many years.
Yeah, it's been there a while.
Tap.
Yeah, it's been there a while. But yeah, there's an underground scene here in Murray too. And there's a lot of musicians great musicians that come out of Murray. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Who are really doing something with their careers. Like Andy Gibson from Murray State. He's one of the finest guitar players over here.
Yeah?
Yeah, Andy Gibson. He's a great guy. I got him on Facebook. You got Haley Martin, and she's playing down in Nashville. And then, what's her name from the Savage Radley? Goodman, I think the last name was, She's on the cover of the Rolling Stones magazine.
Let's hear that again. On the cover of the Rolling Stone magazine.
Yeah.
That's, by some people, the benchmark of when you know.
Yeah.
All right, I'm here.
Shannon, I believe her name is Shayna. I think Shayna Goodman, I believe her name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not met her, but...
Yeah. But she's on the cover of Rolling Stones, and yeah, there's been a lot of people who come up out of this area to make it big. It's, but yeah, that's just Murray. You know, very talented area. We call it like a little Nashville here. So.
Well, that's why my band's name, as stupid as it sounds, got that nickname.
Oh, Murray Vegas also.
Murray Vegas, because when we started, barely a bar or two in town. Everybody was still having to go down to Paris or Paducah to go buy anything they wanted to drink at home. So going out was the better choice. And people were talking about weekends just going down to Nash Vegas.
Right.
Because that was a big metropolitan city, and so we would just joke, well, what's wrong with Mer Vegas? So that's how we got our thing. Here's the question I didn't ask. Where did your nickname, Cookie, originate?
I'm from an old ball player from the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah?
People don't believe that. I'm a big. Did you notice the truck when I
saw, yeah.
Big Chicago Cub bumper sticker.
5 years ago today, they won.
Yeah, I know. I know.
November 2nd.
But it's a Cookie Rojas.
Okay.
Yeah, from the Chicago Cubs, probably before anybody who would be watching this was born. But it was during back in the days of Ernie Banks and all that.
All right,
you
cool.
know, so
it's a baseball reference.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm from Chicago, so
And
I
I'm
was
not,
born in
so
Chicago.
I didn't know that
I didn't know.
reference.
Exactly. Yeah.
I thought it was because, you like Sesame Street.
I do like Sesame Street.
Who doesn't like Sesame Street?
I mean, who doesn't, really?
You ever heard Cookie Disco?
No.
Oh, my God. He's shaggy and blue, and he knows how to chew. His name is Cookie. Oh, my God. You got to look that up. All right. Well, that, I think, will wrap it up for us. I want to thank you, Cookie, for taking the time to talk.
Thank you.
And shake on
Thank
camera. And tune in the next time. I'll find out who we're going to talk to next. Until then, for Cookie and myself, see you later. Bye.